We're going to look at, in a bit more detail, that story that we had earlier on. And I'm being joined on the News at 10 by the chairman of the Institute of Safety Professionals of Nigeria, the Lagos State branch, Mr. Timothy Iwagbo. Thank you so much for joining us on the News at 10.
Thank you, Ida.
So we're looking at the explosion that happened in Magodo, and it's always disheartening when we talk about stories like this as they keep coming up. And indeed, our hearts do go out to all those who have lost loved ones in this particular tragedy. Now, investigations are ongoing, but you're a safety person. From a safety perspective, what do you think people should be doing, residents in particular, around that area tonight, and even those who are investigating, the cause of the incident? Is it still dangerous for them to be around that area now?
Yes, it is considered very dangerous. We are looking at possibilities that there may be some explosions that may, of course, it depends on how much cooling has taken place around the place. LPG is a heavy gas, so it flows at ground level. You may find it into drains, and ordinarily it is twice the weight of air. So we expect that there's likely to be such, as long as people are still using those areas, motorcyclists, and of course a lot of people can be involved in smoking and all that. But then, health-wise, we are concerned about the health and safety of the people, because our health and safety are tied to the environment. So the people are not expected to be there if there's been real burning of materials, whether they are plastics, whether they are fibers of different types. The stench, the fume from these things will still hang on in residential environment.
And that seems to be what some people say is part of the response to this sort of thing when it happens, beyond going there to put the fire out. In terms of what happens to the people afterwards, what do you recommend they do before we move on and look at other issues?
Yeah, what we recommend is there should be a sort of cleanup, real thorough cleanup of the area, because most materials within the homes would have been tainted by the odor of the burnt materials. And then, of course, we know that LPG can be nauseating. We have problems like neurotic issues, and then people who have inhaled it, whether in its raw form or as a product of combustion from that burning, could also have some respiratory health issues.
What about the response time? Let's look at the response to this particular tragedy. Some people have talked about the timing, some are happy with it, others not so much. But what we're actually looking at from observing is the way that particular area was preserved when the gas leak first happened. We understand it was the exhaust of the car. What can we do about securing disaster areas when it happens? We always have that issue of, they couldn't cordon it off and all that. What can we do to improve that sort of thing in this country?
The first thing to do is to consider whether we have actually carried out adequate impact assessment before siting such facility, whether it's within residential area or not, wherever you site it. Now we should have enough space so that when there's leakage, then we'll be talking about when they're cordoning the place and still not having vehicles moving close enough. Now when LPG leaks, it can leak to a good distance and pick up flame from that distance and return it to the source. Now, the proximity of vehicular traffic to the source of leakage would make nonsense of the cordoning if we don't have adequate space.
It's interesting you're talking about proximity, because even from the footage we have, and I don't know if we can see that footage, you see that even for other gas plants in that particular residential area, some are practically sharing, if you look at it there, some are practically sharing the fence. It's ever so close. So when things like that are cited, is it not almost obvious that it's going to be a hazard? Are you not contacted, your agency?
Yeah, we are often not contacted. We believe that interagency relations have been very poor, and we emphasize that the focus should shift a little bit from revenue generation to safety, because no matter the money we make, people must be alive to use the money. And we look at the agencies in charge of licensing, and then we look at the town planning structure in the country. There should be a distinction between business or commercial environment and residential environment. Certain things must not be practiced. If you go to places like even Festac Town, you see gas cylinders in staircases by the commercialists. And this is a block of flat, and we have all these problems. It's all over the country.
All right, thank you so very much, Mr. Timothy Iwagu. You're the Chairman, Institute of Safety Professionals of Nigeria. Yeah. Thanks for sharing your thoughts on the news at 10 tonight.
I'm pleased.
The president of the Dangote Group of Companies, Mr. Aliko Dangote, says the herdsman crisis and other related concerns are as a result of the shortfall in the jobs market. Reacting to the effects of the crisis on agriculture reforms, the industrialist explains that it's an opportunity for the private sector to create jobs.
Concern with the victims, and also concern of that. But it's something that the government is working tirelessly to make sure that they actually resolve this issue about herdsmen. Government cannot do it on its own. We also have to do our own. So the government is giving us an opportunity to actually, create jobs. If there are jobs, there wouldn't be anything like Boko Haram, there wouldn't be anything like herdsmen, because once you are engaged, you don't have time for mischief. And I think people are underrating how many jobs we need to create, not only in Nigeria, in Africa. We need to create 12 million jobs every year in Africa. These are the numbers. So if you have to create 12 million jobs, creating 12 million jobs, especially now with technology and this, it's going to be a little bit difficult. But we have what it takes to create a lot of jobs, which is agriculture. If Nigeria, we can now focus, as now the government is planning to, and they are really doing their best to focus on agriculture. I think that we should focus on agriculture. We should focus on solid minerals. These two can replace oil.
To legal matters now. A federal high court, Lagos, has dismissed the 300 million naira fundamental right enforcement suit filed by suspected kidnap kingpin Chukwudumeme Onwamadike, popularly known as Evans. Justice Abdulaziz Anka dismissed the suit for lacking merit. Evans, through his lawyer, had filed the suit against the Inspector General of Police, alleging wrongful detention. He also joined the Nigeria Police Force, the Lagos State Commissioner of Police, and the Lagos State Anti-Robbery Squad as second, third, and fourth respondents. Evans also alleged that he was subjected to a media trial during his arrest. The police, through its counsel, Emmanuel Eze, however, asked the court to discountenance Evans's application and dismiss same accordingly for lacking in merit, as no infraction was committed against the suspect. Delivering judgment, Justice Anka ruled that Evans' lawyer was unable to prove his case. The judge also ruled that the decision of the police to detain Evans from June the 10th to June the 22nd, 2017 was reasonable, as the police had told the court that they had an order to detain him for 90 days. On the allegation of subjecting the applicant to a media trial, the judge held that there is no law that can stop the media from carrying out their constitutional duty. The judge subsequently pronounced the suit as lacking in merit and dismissed it accordingly. 27 criminal suspects have been arrested by the police in Lagos for various crimes across the state. The Commissioner of Police, Edgar Ihomimi, who paraded the suspects before the newsmen at the command headquarters Ikeja, alleged that they were picked up at the different locations in the state within 2 weeks. He also said that 5 of the suspects were arrested for conspiracy and stealing of the street lights and Nitel cables. The female suspect was arrested for illegally printing out national security documents, while others were intercepted for armed robbery. He explains that all incriminating items recovered from the suspects will be tendered in court at the completion of the investigation. To security matters now, and the death toll from the deadly attack by Boko Haram insurgents on the Palam village in Madagali local government area of Adamawa State now stands at 5. The attack, which took place last night, is said to have sent some of the residents fleeing the community after some of their houses were burnt down, as well as a clinic in the town. The chairman of the Madagali Council, Yusuf Muhammad, told Channels Television that the military responded to the attack almost immediately and has brought the situation under control.